Hello, I am April Rubio. It is Friday, May 8th, 2026, and this is my interpersonal communication plan. An communication plan is where an individual evaluates how their personality influences their communication. They then decide what needs to change and they come up with some steps and some strategies on how to make that change. They have a goal and then they're going to implement that goal. I will describe how my Uniquely You behavioral blend by Carbonell affects my own communication, the barriers to overcome, my goal with strategies, and how I will implement my goal. First, my behavioral blend is a combination of steady specialist and competent specialist. I am both people oriented and task oriented. Within being people oriented, I am way too submissive. I am always in that lopsided power dynamic where it has to be about the other person all the time. They tell me how to think and feel, and I have to obey. They require me to be submitted in all ways. But I naturally want to make it about the other person. I naturally care more. To listen, for you to talk about you, to share with me. I have that about me. I want to listen and I want you to feel heard and cared about. I want to be with you with your pain. But in those lopsided relationships, I am punished if I don't. If I don't make it about them, if I don't decrease and they increase, I get punished. And within being task oriented, I love being right. I love doing right. I love being right. I love getting a task to completion. I love that. But what Carbonell got wrong about me is that I do love being in charge of the group. I love being that person. I love talking. I love speaking. I love teaching. But because I find myself in that power dynamic where they have the dominant personality, it unravels. And I really want to know how to lead the group without that power dynamic shifting. Um, and also, unless I have to get personal, then I have a full panic attack because I'm not safe. I'm saving off a panic attack right now because I'm talking about me and it's not safe. I get ridiculed, I get ripped to shreds when I try to speak for me. I just do. But I love being that personal person. I love leading the group. I love being personal. I love leading the group. If only I could be safe while doing it. My background was filled with abuse and neglect, and that continued on into my marriage. My mother hated everything about me. She required me to be a completely different person while also obeying with absolute perfection. I had to be absolutely perfect and I had to obey with absolute perfection. Think of the movie The Stepford Wives. I was programmed by my mom from the littlest of age to be a Stepford. And then I got married and he was like, yay, I got a Stepford. And then he programmed me according to his parameters. I was denied personhood. I was never allowed to say no. All of that. I don't know how to self-govern. My first communication barrier is that I am overcome with flat-brained syndrome as described by Petersen. Flat brain syndrome is where my stomach is so full of my emotions that I'm not allowed to get out. And it presses against my heart to where I have a hard time relating to you, the other person, and then my mind just goes blank. It crushes up here and then it crushes up here and my mind is blank, which is what happens. The other person overwhelms me and I go flat. I go absolutely flat. Another communication barrier, also by Petersen, that we find in the talker listener card, is that as the listener, I don't own the other person's problem, but I am made to feel like I have to be. But I also like being the fix-it person, which is the next barrier that Petersen talks about. Camera's right here. That Petersen talks about, and that I love telling the person what to do. I love being right. I love telling people what to do. So it's a crazy dynamic. I love being right. I love telling people what to do. But it's disrespectful. Absolutely disrespectful. I'm disrespectful when they do it to me, and the other person feels disrespected when I do it to them. Therefore, my goal to improve my communication is to stop being a Stepford, to be a separate self, to just be me. Just be me. I own me, my thoughts, my feelings, my behavior. And the other person, they own themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, their behaviors. But how do I accomplish this? First, I have to give myself permission to be a separate self. I have to give myself that permission. I say, just saying it out loud right now, April, give yourself permission to be a separate person. Whoa, panic attack, panic attack. So I declare out loud to myself, out loud so I can hear it. I am a separate self. I'm responsible for me. And second is to educate myself on what that means. What does it mean to be the autonomous self? I found the study done by this lady with the last name of Bauer, where she explains what it means to be that autonomous self, how you're responsible for you. She talks about the boundaries of that, the responsibility to self. She goes into the depths of philosophy of being a self, and it helped me so much. And real relationships require both parties to be genuine and true. We read about that in France and Weikel and Schultze and Badzinski. I wish I'd been able to order that textbook. I also suffer from a dissociative disorder where I feel so disconnected from me, from my body, from reality, from the people around me. I found a study by Sedikides et al. Where they talk about how important it is to affirm, to give affirmation to yourself as when you're feeling that disconnection. I feel disconnected. I affirm that I am connected. I'm a connected self. I affirm that. I affirm that I'm in my body. I'm thinking my thoughts. I'm connected to Jesus. I'm connected to Jesus. Jesus said in Matthew 28:20 that he will always be with me. He will always be with me. So no matter how disconnected I feel, I can't be disconnected from God. I affirm that. I speak those affirmations. Now on to the implementation of my plan. I must stay present. No matter how disconnected I feel or overwhelmed by my mom and others, I must stay present. I will determine what I am thinking and feeling, as Petersen talks about in From the Talker Point of View. I need to know, what am I thinking? I need to counteract the flat brain syndrome and know what I'm thinking and feeling, and then find somebody safe to share it with. I'm on that hunt. I have found somebody to share, and that helps. And to practice. Petersen talks about practicing. Take out the talker listener cards and practice, practice, practice. This implementation plan includes measuring and rewarding progress. Progress is measured both internally and externally. Because I have already started my plan, I have noticed that my resolve has increased. I feel more steady and sure of myself. I have a stronger inner strength. I can walk away if I need to. I am more steady and willing to face the consequences of how my mother or others will react. I am feeling more stronger, more sure of myself. And externally, I have already begun to receive some great feedback. My marriage hit like the low, and I was ready to leave. And my husband realized, wow, my wife's actually a separate self from me, and she's ready to leave. And it made him realize that he was harming me. And we had that moment where he turned to Christ. And he wants me to be me. He wants me to be me. I am getting that feedback. And the reward is better, more healthy relationships with God, with myself, with my husband. Oh, my camera's right here. I apologize. With my husband. In conclusion, becoming my own self has been a long, hard journey that I have tried to be on all these years. But by facing the consequences of what it means to be the Stepford in the context of interpersonal communication, in the textbooks that I've already shown, I have been able to see the further value of becoming a separate self. I see that value. It is reinforced the value. In the context of communication, I obey the Lord and I take responsibility for me. I am better at relationships. I am increasing in healing every day. And the more I practice this, the more healing I have. And I can finally see that there's a path forward to being a professional counselor. I didn't have that before, but I'm finally starting to see, like, I can do this work. I can actually do this work. Communicative action is meant to be faithful, acknowledging my brokenness and trusting God for the power to overcome my hurts and insecurities will lead to me being faithful in relationships, in honesty, transparency, and authenticity. That was Schultze and Badzinski. And isn't that the point? Just to be an authentic, a real person. Thank you.